Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris and today is episode 2 of the clone-based building series. Today is going to be mostly the exoskeleton of the diorama here. And so pretty much what we did last time was lay out the base plates and talk about the plan. And I think just this 16 by 16 plate was here. But I've been kind of busy off camera just going around with some ideas here as I knock some of them over. But I wanted to share them with you guys because I've been kind of thinking about some stuff about this and then the whole area as a whole here. And so pretty much we're just going to talk about it and then we're going to start building a bunch of other stuff here. But basically what I'm contemplating is actually instead of having a blank green wall here and then just having the plates on top and then, you know, the rest of the mock from there, I think it'd be a lot nicer if the sides were built up, you know, kind of like, obviously this is a rough representation of it, but it would be built up with snot techniques and snot bricks and then, you know, all that kind of stuff in there. And then it would kind of like bleed over as I drop the whole thing. It would kind of bleed over the edge of the mock here, and it would, I've seen a lot of smaller dioramas do this, like almost the vignettes that you see like on Instagram or something, but I haven't seen someone do it on this scale before, and so I don't know if that's a good idea or if I'm just going to be spending a stupid amount of money on pieces to just go onto the side here, but I think it is a good idea for now, and so I would like to take some of this out because this is a lot of 2x4 green brick, and this is just a small fraction of it here. And there's a whole thing to do. But yeah, so I think that's probably the best way to go. And so over here is the clone tunnels that I was talking about in that last video here. And so I know we're just getting right into the talking about it here. There's not really an intro just because these videos for the clone base series here are going to be kind of longer, I'm thinking. And so I want to just get right into it. I want to get you guys hyped for this like I am. And so pretty much with these hallways here, it's going to be one long hallway starting probably about here, I think. And then it'll go most of the length of the table here. And I think that's probably the best way to go. And then it'll just be one long hallway essentially, and then we could have doors going through occasionally, obviously like facades. They wouldn't be like real doors or anything, but the doors would be every once in a while, and then we could have the clones running through and then maybe like some droids that broke in or something. And so yeah, I think that's probably the way to go. And then I was just kind of messing around with a design here with the spring-loaded shooters. I've seen people do that before, but the bunkers on Endor are typically a lot more of the dark grays, and so that is why most of this is dark gray, and then the light grays would just be accent colors. I think that's probably the best way to go, but with that being said, I have a bunch of green plate that I've been saving just for this, and so let me get started on that actually, and then we can start the time-lapse of getting all the green plate and putting it down and seeing how that all looks. But a lot of the plate is smaller, and you'll notice that I tried over here to get the 4x4s up to the same height as the 16 by 16 here. And you'll notice that there is so much more brick under it. Like I was even skimping out on some of the bricks here. And let me see if I can take this apart and kind of show you guys here. It is kind of a lot, and even still it's only one pillar in the middle when you compare it to if you were actually putting pillars on all of the seams here. So I'm gonna actually take some of this 4x4 plate and take it and put it over in the city here, because there's almost a dozen 16 by 16 plates here that don't need to be here. And so I think it's probably better if I swap the 16 by 16s out from this and put them in the clone base. So we're actually going to start with that, and then we can start laying down the mills plating for the clone base. All right, so I'm ripping the 16 by 16 plates out of the city here and replacing them with the 4x4 plates because as you can see, using the 4x4 plates here uses so much brick. And if I were to do that in the clone base where it's 7 bricks off the base plate, that would be just an insane amount of pieces. And so I'm trying to save at least a little bit here and use the 16x16s over there where I can really use very little, whereas here I would have to use a lot. So I'm not happy with this because my back hurt, but I think this was the right choice in the end. And so now we can go check it out in the clone base to see how everything's looking. All right, so now with all of these 16x16 plates that I just got from that, I know it's only 10 of them, but that is better than none. So we're gonna start, I think, in this corner. I was thinking about starting in that corner and then kind of working my way this way, but I think starting here is probably better, so then I can map out where exactly the tunnel is gonna start, because I think it might actually start a little bit closer to the seam of the base plate here, but I don't know yet. So we're gonna just get started building, and then we can go ahead and try to get, oh, well, there goes my tree design. We can just get started building here, and then hopefully we can get most of this done, because I have a lot of odd-shaped green plate, so I don't know how all of that's going to come into play, but this is a good start, and then I can use everything else that I have, like 8x8s, 8x16s, 4x8s, 6x8s, the whole thing. We can use those in here, and hopefully we can get a lot done, but at the very least, I want to get most of it done, and then we can start working out the tunnel and everything else that's going to go on here, like the path going through the middle. So that'll save me some green plate as well, because that doesn't need to be green. That could be dark tan or gray or whatever I have. So that is good. So without me talking too much, let me just get started and start placing all this stuff down. All right, so pretty much what we're doing right now is mills plating this first section here with all the 16x16 plates I have. And as you will quickly see, this does not get me very far. This is only a small fraction of the entire thing here. But I didn't want to go across the width of the mock here, because a lot of the middle section is going to be dark tan. So it's going to be at a different height, I think. So that's why I'm going kind of along the long side of the mock here. But let's check it out in real time to see how everything looks. All right, so this is what it's looking like so far. And as you can see, this is with the 16x16 plates, and there is a lot of brick under here. So if I was doing this with the 4x4s, this would have been a nightmare, and I would have probably almost run out of brick already. So I think this was the right call, taking all the 16x16s from the city and swapping them for the 4x4s. And so, but this is 11 plates right here. That is all of the extra ones that I had. So that really doesn't get me very far, like I had said. And so this is where the tunnel is going to be. I think I had started that mock-up of it around here-ish maybe, but figured I would bring it all the way to the edge of the base plate here just to kind of see how that looks. I could always move it in a little bit and then make more green over here, but I'm going to leave this section open as well, because I don't know how this is going to shape up here, if I want to like build all this up and then put a 16x16 on top of it, or if I want to do something else. So haven't decided about that yet, but this is where the rest of the greenery is going to go, and then it's going to kind of cut over here, I'm thinking, because that's where the path is going to kind of come through. And so, yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff to do here. This was just one tiny section of the build here, but I think that's a good place to start. You know, without starting, you're never going to get anywhere. So I will be needing to place an order for some pieces. Definitely some 16x16s in green, probably some in dark tan as well for the path along the middle. And then other than that, it's just going to be finding a whole bunch of brick and then just mills plating it, and we will go from there. Okay, so it's actually been a number of days since we last did any work on this. And so I placed a couple Bricklink orders, and this is one of the two to arrive. The other one is on its way. So we're going to open up this one first. It's actually packed in Amazon packaging, which is kind of neat. So let me crack this open, and I will show you guys what I got. All right, so I took everything out of the packaging here, and there's a fair amount of stuff here. So let me just start going through it. I'll start with the big thing first, which is actually a 16x16 plate. He only had one. The seller only had one, unfortunately, but it was pretty cheap compared to Legos, Bricks, and Pieces, and he had an 8x16 brick, which was also pretty cheap. So picked up both of those, and so that was good. This is green 2x3 plates, which is for the clone base right here. And in this bag here is some more green plate, the 1x2s, and there's a lot of them, so that's pretty good. And then the medium blue bricks, you'll see more in a second here, but pretty happy with this actually. I don't have a lot of medium blue in my collection, so I figured I'd pick some up. And also the dark green, that would be for modular buildings in the city to make custom ones. So that's good, so then I can have a few different colors of facades. And then again, more medium blue, this time 1x2 bricks. And then 1x2 dark green and 1x2 reddish brown bricks, which those are for a secret project, which I'm currently working on. So definitely stay tuned for that. That is coming in the near future. It's not Star Wars related, but it is something to look out for regardless. And then this is the green plate here, some more of it, and they're 1x1s this time. And then there's a whole bunch of these pieces right here. I don't really have any of these, to be honest with you, and so I feel like these are good pieces to have. So I picked up quite a few of them, and it's in this nice little bag here. And then the final bag is a bunch of brackets, actually. So there is a bunch of 1x1 brackets, and I don't think there's any up version. Oh, the up is in dark gray. The one that folds up is dark gray, and the one that folds down is in light gray. And then there is the too long one right there, and there is two of these panels here. Let me pull that out so I can give you guys a closer look at that. All right, so this is the panel. This is actually, Lego doesn't even make this anymore. The newer versions of this have supports on each side, but this is the old version, so that there is no support on the side. And this is important. There's a very distinct difference between the two of those, because the custom ATTEs by Boosker use this panel here in the model, and so this was the last one that was needed to start that process of building those. So that is awesome, and we bought one extra just for fun, just to have. And that's pretty much it. The seller gave very deluxe packaging, which is nice. Everything is in these nice resealable bags here, and that is pretty much it. I will leave the seller's information in the description down below. Unfortunately, there was no tracking for this order, but the seller shipped the items in a timely manner, and I got them all here. So let me count them and make sure they're all here, and then I will continue to give good praise. Okay, so I went ahead and I took everything out of the bags here, and everything was here in the proper amounts that I ordered, which is great. So once again, I got a few different sizes of green plate here. I got the 2x3s, I got 1x2s, 1x1s, and then the singular 16x16 plate here, and also the 16x16, or excuse me, 8x16 brick. So that's good. And then I got some of these connector elements, which is good, and also a few different types of brackets. Got a couple of the 1x2 ones facing up in light gray, some of the 1x1s facing down in light gray, and then the ones in dark gray are the 1x1s facing up, which is good. I don't exactly have a use for these yet, but I'm sure they will get used at some point. They are pretty useful pieces. And then some of these modified bricks here, which are just good to have. And the green dark green 1x1 bricks, dark green 1x2 bricks, medium blue 1x4 and 1x2 bricks, and then the two panels, which are actually the reason why I placed this order in the first place. But this is the entire thing, and so once again, huge thank you to this Bricklink seller. I will leave their information down in the description down below. They were very timely. There was no tracking like I had said, unfortunately, but everything showed up and everything is here, so can't really complain about that. But now I will have to wait probably another day or two for that other order to come in, so I will probably wait to use these pieces until then. So for you guys, it'll be a couple of seconds, but for me, it'll be about a day or two. So let me wait until that package comes in, and I will show you once I get it. All right, so I got the other package in, so let's open it up and see what's inside. And so now that it's open, you can see that this is a lot more substantial than the previous order that you just saw was. This has a lot of stuff in it, and it's good to see that some of this is individually bagged, which is nice to see. And so, as you can see, it's some tan plate, and then we'll get into all the other stuff in just a second here. But most of this is in this one big bag here, and there is the seller's card. So shout out to this Bricklink seller. I'll leave their information down in the description. Huge help to the clone base here. But that's pretty much it for the box here. As you can see, it's just a lot of 16 by 16 plates, which takes up most of the space. And I bought dark tan for a couple reasons. One, it's a lot cheaper. It is so much cheaper for whatever reason than the green were. So I managed to pick them up for less than $2 a piece. It was actually pretty significantly under $2 per plate here, which is a lot cheaper than you'd get it straight from Lego. And the other thing is that the color doesn't exactly matter. Like, I'm going to use dark tan for the path that's going through the middle of the mock, but the dark tan plates are going to get covered up for the most part. So I can scatter them throughout and it's not going to really matter. So that's really good to see. And so now let's crack everything open and I'll show you everything that I got in this order. All right, so here is the rundown of all the pieces that I got in this order here. We're going to start with some of the simple stuff. These are just light gray cheese slopes. These are just good to have just to build stuff with. And then up next here is these modified plates or modified tiles in dark gray with the two studs on one on each end. Again, these are just really useful for building mocks and things. The brackets here in dark gray, the 1x2 face on them, extremely handy, and I don't actually have a lot of these in my collection. Same with the 1x1 version that you're seeing right now. I don't have a lot of these in the collection, and so that's why I've been buying a whole bunch of them. They're extremely handy. And same with these pieces as well, these connector pieces. Super helpful and super interesting to use, and they just really are fun to use. And then I got the same in brown. The brown is for the trees in particular, both for this as well as the city. But again, these are just good to have, and just overall, you can't really go wrong with different pieces in your collection. And then the dark blue 1x2 curved slopes here. These are just thought were interesting. I don't have any dark blue slopes in my collection, so figured I'd pick up a couple of those. And same with these car hood pieces or car roof pieces. They were pretty cheap and they're pretty interesting, so figured I'd pick up a couple of them. Next is the dark gray 1x1 with the bar attachment on both ends. Again, figured I would pick up a couple of these just because I don't have any, and I thought it'd be pretty useful. And the dark brown 1x4 is for the city, for the train ballast. And speaking of the train ballast, actually, not only did I get a dark brown 1x4 tile, but I also got a whole bunch of black 1x4 tiles. These are super handy, and I recently modified the train yard and the train tracks, and so I thought I was done with the ballasting, but guess the job's never really done. And then these right here, these are pretty interesting. These are actually the tops of turntables, and so it's a really thin piece as well, so if you need a connection point in a thin spot, that's a pretty good go-to. This is the spring-loaded shooters, and actually I bought these for the hallways that are going to run along the front of the diorama here. And so I think that could be pretty cool to integrate those into the floor. And these are like 5 cents a piece or something like ridiculously cheap. So that was pretty cool to get them for such a good price. And the next here was these gold 1x1s with the bar attachment on one end. Again, something pretty interesting to have in the collection. I don't have these. I just bought a couple of them recently, but yeah, these just really good to have. The dark tan 1x2s I could use for the beach, but most of them will probably end up going into this mock here because they're just really useful pieces. And then these 2x2 modified plates with the studs on the front. Again, really useful pieces. I am going to be using them for all different kinds of stuff, so just figured I'd pick up a few more because I got sand blue versions on the pick-a-brick wall a while back, and I used those all really quickly. And up next here is 2x6 and 2x8 plates in tan, like I showed you earlier. These are just good to have. I'm probably going to end up using these for the beach. I don't think those are going to be for the Star Wars mock here, but overall, that is everything else that I got besides the 16x16 plates. And once again, huge shout out to Blaine's World, the Bricklink seller. I'll leave that seller's information along with the first seller's information down in the description below for you guys to check out if you guys are interested. All right, so I'm pretty much just going in and making a really tall mills plate for this whole section here. The path is shorter at 6 bricks tall, and then the outside on the left side of the screen or towards the back is 8 bricks tall, and I'm going to blend all of that in, so that is not something to worry about. But the pieces that I got at the Lego store today just for this project here, I got 2 full Pick-a-Brick boxes, and it was not enough. But let's check it out in real time to see how far I got. All right, so as you saw from that time lapse there, this did not get me very far. I had bought a bunch of brick from the Lego store on the Pick-a-Brick wall, like I had mentioned, and this is what 2 boxes worth of pieces gets you. The only stuff that I have left is a handful of stacks of 1x2 bricks, which I can use in here and then along the edges of the mock as well. But that's crazy. I really thought that the 2x2 brick would go a little bit farther than that. And so I still have maybe like another 10 or 15 16x16 plates left. And I knew that wasn't going to be enough when I ordered them. That was all the seller had. But now that I have most of this in, actually, I can go in and start to actually count out exactly how many more I need. So then I can place an order for green ones. And then that would be that, because I want to use green for the front here, right along the edge, just in case you do end up seeing part of that plate. So at minimum, the green is going to be in the front, but the dark tan, like I said, is going to get covered by the green plate. And so I'm not really worried about that. This path, though, is going to stay dark tan, which is the lowered part right here. And I think that looks really good. I do want to also come in and maybe put at least a 16x16 here, here, and here lower as well. And I want it to kind of curve this way and then back towards the entrance to the base as well. I, again, don't have enough pieces. And so unfortunately, I will not be able to continue working on this until the next video, which is really unfortunate. Actually, I really thought we were going to actually get at least most of this done here. I can go through my collection a little bit more to see if I have any more brick like I was doing for this section, but I wouldn't count on getting anything past this base plate right here, which is that seam right there. So unfortunately, that is that, but I don't want to end the video quite yet. I want to work on this a little bit more just so we can get an idea of how this whole area is going to shape up, along with starting to add some of the landscaping as well. All right, so I went ahead and I got a very rough design of a tunnel going on here. And I actually think this looks pretty good for what it is right now. So I'm going to walk you guys through exactly what you're looking at right now. So this is essentially one module from the pillar right here in dark gray all the way to the tile right here. And so that is essentially one module. And then the next would go from here to here, and then from here to the next one, and so on and so forth. So basically what this is the spring-loaded shooters laid on their side like I showed earlier, but I widened it quite a bit actually, so now it is pushing 12 studs deep, which is pretty large. But when you think about it and when you compare it to the Venator from the Clone Wars TV show, you can clearly see that these tunnels and hallways are actually pretty wide as they are, and so you should be able to fit a trooper on the left, a trooper in the middle walking, and then someone having room to pass by on the side. So I think this is a pretty good width, and obviously the details on it are not anywhere close to done, and they're nowhere near finalized as well. This will almost surely change, but the design here is essentially like what the lights are in the walls. And so there'll be one here, and one here, and one per section. And this side is just going to stay open as it is, because I think this is fine, and I think it looks pretty good, and it also will allow nice access and visibility to the whole thing. And then, so like I said, it's a layer of tiles, the spring-loaded shooters, 2 layers of dark gray brick laid on their side, and I will pull this out to kind of show you. So I have a whole bunch of grills from the pig brick wall. So the grill tiles are on top, spring-loaded shooter, the 2 layers of brick, and then the gap in here is exactly 10 bricks tall. So it's 9 bricks of height, 2 plates, and then 1 tile right here to give that 10 brick width. And then you just duplicate the same module that you made over here with the spring-loaded shooters, and then you flip it and put it over here. And that's pretty much it. And I unfortunately don't have any 1x2 plates, so I have to go and get a bunch more of those. But as you can see, all you have to do to place figures down, you could just put them down like this. But if you want them to be placed onto the floor here in a secure way, you just use the snot brick, and there you go. So that looks pretty good. And then I did run out of the 1x2 plates, so that's why these are in green, but I might have to raise this up here, which is kind of unfortunate. I didn't want to have to raise this up any more than I had to, but for the tunnel, I might have to raise this up. This is up 2 bricks from the rest of the height here. I don't know if it's going to have to be any more than that, but hopefully it's a little less, because once the roof goes in, this is a very rough design of a roof as well. But I think this roof design is an okay start, and it helps get a brief size and a height measurement of it. So that is pretty good as well. And so that's why I settled on an extra 2 bricks of height down here. And then I can blend this all in as well. So that is not something to be concerned about. And this will get covered by a custom made blast door. So that will happen in due time as well, but I do need to place an order for a whole bunch of different types of pieces. Even though the design is not finalized, I need a bunch of 1x2 plate in dark gray, 1x1 plate in dark gray, snot bricks, slopes, inverted slopes, and all different kinds of pieces like that. So that is something that I'm going to have to place an order for, but that's fine. I'm not super worried about it. And then speaking of blending stuff together, actually, this is a very small section of path that I had roughed in here. So like I had said earlier, the lowered sections here are the path of where the separatist forces are going to come in, and the plate down here, I want to add some tiles in as well, and I want to give it a mixed look of plate and tile, and then so it looks kind of rough. And then so that'll be the standard height of the path there, and then it'll kind of start to slope up a little bit into the grass. And then the grass will essentially cover this entire side as well as this one here. And obviously it's not done yet. It is nowhere close to it. This is going to get covered with foliage in future episodes. But I think this looks pretty good. There's a little bit too much dark tan in here for my liking, but I was just sprinkling them in to see how it looked. And I think that looks pretty good. And I like this little blending section here as well, from the dark tan to the green. I think that looks pretty good. And then I would have to go in and add a little bit more in here as well. But that's pretty good. And I don't know if I showed this already, but I made these sections modular. So this is 1 base plate long by 3 base plates wide. And then there's one there, and then that one at the end is the same thing. So these are all essentially big modules that I can work on in sections, which is really good to see. And so we did a lot today. And so I'm really, really happy with this. This last month has been a lot of behind the scenes work and preparation and placing Bricklink orders and Lego orders, some of which haven't even arrived yet, unfortunately, but that just means that next episode is going to be even bigger. So seriously, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. This is going to wrap up episode 2 of building Endor in Lego. If you guys like this video, make sure to like the video and subscribe, as well as click the bell notification so you don't miss any future uploads. If you guys have any feedback for me on the sections that we made today and also my plans for the next video, make sure to drop a comment down below to let me know what you think. But once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.